Hey everybody, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching the channel as always. Behind me we've got a Craftsman. I don't even think it's an LT1000 model. It's a little bit lower than that, but looks like it's had a little bit of upgrades on it. What we're going to be doing in this video is swapping out the front end and trying to fix the hood on it. I do have a new nose cone for the hood off of a Wizard Rider that has a red hood, and I think I can save this green hood and put the nose cone on it and be okay. We'll see what we end up doing. Definitely got to put a front end on it. I think we've got to do a little bit of work on the deck in order to get it running properly. It's got the stuck, the whole stuck deal when it comes to the blade engagement, where it doesn't want to disengage the blades very well. And that's usually just because those grooves get worn in. So this was a $100 find. It ran and drove onto the trailer, but it does need that front end on it. It's got the 6-speed in between your legs, so that means it's a lower model Craftsman, but still, if I get it going, it's like a $400, $450 mower on a good day. And it's in good shape overall. So we'll go ahead and get started on this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Ellis at ellismowers.com, or at ellismowers09 on Instagram and Facebook. Get a quick walk around on this. Again, it's not the prettiest, but it's not bad. I think I'm just going to swap out a seat on it. Put a different seat on it, because this mower will turn out fairly nice once I finish with it, I think. It is a early 2000s model Craftsman, because it's got the updated steering and stuff on it. It is a, let's see, a 072202, so it's a 2002 model, which would be accurate, and I can tell you why in just a second. Let me get this hood off. So it's a 42-inch cut with a 15.5 horsepower brakes, but it's I call them the Series 1 overhead valves just because they've got this little square looking cover on them. The ones when you start getting into the Intex and stuff, they have that big roundish looking plastic cover on them. That was for them to meet the 2003 EPA emission regulations. That's when they started changing stuff on the engines, and that's when everything started going south. So looks like the original engine, 2002, should be like a 2.8N 707 or something. It's worn off the plate, but still, like I said, it ran and drove on the trailer. Y'all saw it in an earlier video where I showed you that I spent $100 for it. Rear front end, check this out. This is one of the worst ones I have ever seen. It's all bent around here. It may be cracked on the bottom down there, but it's just twisted around really bad. The whole top spindle here is bad, and I mean, everything else is okay. I think that, have I checked the air filter on it? Oil was okay from what I could tell. Not really a lot of leaks. It will need changing though. Like, there's really no leaks on the engine right here in the front, which is pretty cool. A lot of times you see valve cover leaks and stuff. The air filter, the pre-filter's a little bit messed up, but I think if I take the pre-filter off, that air filter will last just fine. This transmission shifting good. You can see that it's cut grass fairly recently, because the grass on the mower isn't too bad either. The seat is an updated seat from another Craftsman. We'll keep this for, say, like a newer model Craftsman rider that takes a seat like this. But I think we're going to put another seat on it while we've got it. So yeah, let me show you the front end real quick. I've got one, I actually just took one off of a mower a couple weeks ago, and it is chilling right here. So we just need to take this thing right here, grind out a little rust on the spindles, swap it out. Fairly easy to do. Just get your front end jacked up if you've still even got the little connecting rod and everything for the steering. So that's literally just going to be a swap. And so what you got to do is take that, and you have your spin or your drag link hook up right here. Literally just one bolt underneath the mower on the back side. We might have to take this exhaust off, but the bolt's on the back side down here, right there in front of the pulley. You can't really see it because of the light, but I'll get you down there so that you can see it better. And you just take the drag link off and it'll just knock right off. So that's what we're going to do. Let me get tools and we'll get started. For those of y'all who follow me, I am filming this in the cold season. As a quick aside, I got that in the summer for 25 bucks. I plugged it in, flipped the switch, and it worked. I thought I was going to have to work on it. Anyways, game changer in terms of keeping the garage warm. Not the point of this video, but what we need to do in order to get this axle off, you don't have to take this cross member out, but we do have to take them deck mounting brackets off. One of them's right there, and there's one on the other side. I think they're 1/2 inch or 7/16, one of the two. Looks like the half. And then in the middle right there is our axle bolt, and that's going to be like it's like a 5/8, I think. Some of them are bigger, some of them are like 3/4 or 15/16. Your drag link mechanism is right here. This one right here almost popped out of the socket because it was stressed so much. That should just be, I think it's a 9/16 to get that off on the bottom down there. You may have to put a 1/2 inch wrench at the top, either a 1/2 inch or a 9/16 inch wrench at the top. We'll get that off. And then the only other thing it may be is I may not be able to get this bolt out all the way without having to take this exhaust off. So if we find that we have to take the exhaust off, we'll do that too. Neither of which is that big of a deal. And once I'm ready to pull this axle out, I'll rejoin y'all. So one thing I failed to mention was that I did take the deck off since we got to do some work to it anyways. It also looks like we need to put a deck belt on it because this belt's getting kind of old and chunks are missing from it. Although it was working, won't work for very much longer. Super easy to get off. It's just about 2 mounts in the front, 2 mounts on the side, up near the top, right there where those deck hangers are. There's 1 mount in the back, right there in the middle of your screen, and also your clips to put on your blade engagement cable. The cable end mounts right there, and 1 end mounts right there. So that's all you need to do. And now we're at the point where we're going to take off this front end, and I found a different way to do it. It looks like I can take the whole assembly off the side, so I'm taking the 4 bolts out of each side. I'm in the process of doing that. I have taken the drag link off of this mount right here, and so we should be about ready to drop this thing. Let me put you on a tripod and we'll see what we can do here. I'm going to take off the bolts on this side, so I might just leave you right over here as we do that. And this thing should drop out, and all we'll have to do after that is drop the new cradle of the new front end sitting to my right here into this. So let me go ahead and, it's not 9/16. I did take off the exhaust shield on the front just to give me some more clearance over here. And these 4 bolts should cause this thing to drop. Just like that. There we go. So now what we've got to do is get off the deck hangers here, which we need to get that one back kind of straight, and that is just a, looks like a one-piece thing under here. It looks like it attaches on this side with a little bit of a friction action, like it almost clips in right here, and then on this it was held on by a couple of bolts. We got those off. And now we've got, see that right there's supposed to be straight, so this thing was really jacked. This is like a 5/8. I'll get that off, and then that gets the main bolt off for the axle. And then once we have the axle, we can pull off the bracket here for the deck mount and take the axle out. We put the new axle in, reinsert that bracket, and put it all back on. Well, you learn something new when you do this. I did not realize that that was a two-piece assembly there. If I'd have known that, I'd have kept one from another scrap mower. But I just took that, it was a 9/16 bolt, took it off, and voila, this thing is out. And there's your pivot point. You can see where the axle got cracked right there. And so, honestly, it's just a matter of cleaning this up, number one. That's basically trash, except for the little, well, even this right here is in bad shape. I think I've got a couple of them. But it's just a matter of cleaning this stuff up right here now and putting in the new front end. Looks like, so it's a two-piece design. It's awesome. So much easier than how I used to do it. Just those 8 bolts, get it off. It drops, and we're going to swap it out. So let me get all this cleaned up real quick. We'll get this front end in, and looks like I might have to, oh, that had another different type bolt. That had the big bolt in it. So I need to grab that big bolt for the axle and use that instead of this one. Or get some sort of washer of some sort. Well, let me check in the shed and see if I've got one that'll just directly bolt on. If not, we'll try to find some sort of bushing or something along those lines to go in there. And here's the new front end, and guess what? I found out that this is a fairly easy job. The bushing, I took a 5/8 socket, knocked it out of the old front end, knocked it into the new front end, knocked out the old bushing. That was for a bolt, I think that was like this. But I can't really use this because of the provision of the little mounting plate that I have is not the correct one. So we knocked the bushing, put it in that. We'll kind of wire brush this stuff, make it nice and pretty, especially on the spindle ends here so that the wheels roll good and don't eat bearings up. And I mean, after that, we'll be good. So matter of just putting it all back together now. So to put it together, I've turned the axle upside down. Where this little crossbar is, that's the rear, and you put these in. This is really the only way you can go in, but they even have an arrow showing that you put it on the front. So what I did is I put the axle in, put these two pieces together, put this nut in, which I still need to tighten down. Hang tight. And what you're going to have is the ability for this axle to pivot. And then you can put your little deck mounting bracket back on. It just slides into, there's 4 tabs. I left that bolt loose so I could get these into these tabs. And once I got them into the tabs, and we were good to go. Put these bolts back on, just tighten that bolt up like you saw. And this thing's ready to go back on the mower pretty soon. We're going to have a working front end. I do need to get some WD-40 and wire brush to grind off these axles from where they've been sitting in the dirt for so long. But we should be good to go. That one's missing a little cup, but that ain't that big of a deal. That's just more like a dust cup, but we're going to grease it all up pretty good either way. And we'll put it on, grease everything up. I'll show you the end result, because now it's just pretty much putting 4 or 8 bolts in and a drag link. And I'll show you those once I get them on the mower. So 8 bolts are in. I'm putting the wheels on now. Did the left side this way. Seemed like it worked pretty good, so I'll show you how I did the right side. Again, there's a lot of rust buildup and stuff from where this was sitting outside. So what we're going to do is put this on the axle here. I put a washer on the back side because I think there's supposed to be one. It's going to be a little bit tight when you first put it on, just because of the situation there. You need a thinner washer on it. Oh, there's 2 washers, that's why. I only need 1 back there. Just to bridge the gap between 2 things. Grease is messy, y'all. Alright, so 1 washer, put that in. Put this little skinny washer right here in front. And then I'm going to get the E-clip. We're going to pop this thing on, hopefully. Maybe a little too tight. Nah, we're going to be able to get it. I'm going to grab my pliers here. And a rag. Pretty messy. Let's see if we can get this on, guys. Like I said, it's going to be really tight. We might have to adjust clips and things like that in order to get it on. We shall see. Are we in? We might be in. We might have to give it a tap. It may not be, but that's okay. We will be shortly. And I'm going to get this in, and we'll be done. Again, you can see it kind of was hard to start when we first had it moving, but it is moving pretty good now. So there it is. I'm going to clean up this job, put the drag link back on that I showed you, and I'll show you what it looks like. Maybe we can get it driving. I did find a safety switch issue, which I'll show you as well, and we'll work on that most likely. We'll work on that next. All right, guys, the front end is in, which is awesome. Check out the alignment. Again, there's the only alignment on these is that little bar. That bar was straight, so it ain't the most perfect front end in the world, but it does what it needs to do. It tracks straight, rolls good, turns fine. Here, I can turn it. I think I can even turn it with 1 hand here. So we got pretty good turn action. I greased it up. That drag link is a little bit loose, but it will hold just fine. We're talking, you know, $400 mower. As long as we're reliable, we're good here. So another thing is, I think a flipper was on this thing earlier, because just from things that I've seen. If you look down there, I don't know if you'll see, under the starter solenoid is a safety switch. That's the brake safety. And I noticed that when I got off the seat when I first got it, it didn't turn off, which is weird because I had it out of gear. Well, they had put a jumper wire on the brake safety switch. So I plugged that brake safety switch back in, and now I think I'm going to change out this seat, because will this seat work? Technically this seat should work, but it's not the right seat for this mower. And I have a couple of these seats. So I'm just going to swap out the seat and be done with this. This should only be a wing nut to get this thing off here. So let me put y'all on the tripod. We'll get the wing nut off. Because what it'll do is the safety switch is actually meant for, on this particular one, there's supposed to be like a button. Come on, man. Don't make this difficult on me. Inside of these seats that you push down, I might be able to show it to you here in a second. Y'all might not be catching this. You are. But let's see. There's not one in this one, so these don't work very well a lot of times, so I can maybe be able to adjust it to see if it'll work. But with that safety switch right there, usually these seats don't work the best. I'd rather save that seat for like a YS or something another. So let me see if I can find a seat, and all I gotta do is slap it on here. And with the bolts that come with it, and we should be able to get it in. I'll be right back. All right, so we're getting close actually. I put more of a period correct seat on it. It's not in much better shape, but at least it's not coming off the backing like the other one. So I think that can be forgiven. It's about the condition of the mower, so it seems like it fits. The safety switch has been plugged back in down here, and it is working properly. And I had one of the wires come out. That's why I'm just double checking. But then I noticed that the blade safety had that going on with it. You see them 2 screws in there. So I'm going to take those 2 screws out. That way all the safeties are now working correctly. I think a lot of the issue came with the seat safety switch, because of the orientation of that seat on this base is not the best. Because you gotta what have you gotta do? You gotta sit on this thing and let me just test it here. Oh yeah, we're good. And then when I lift up, yeah, so that, okay. Sorry, y'all can't see that, but I was making sure that the seat safety switch lifted up whenever I got off of the mower and set down when I got on the mower seat. And it does, so we're good on that aspect. The next thing, I just got to put this shroud and stuff back on after I take these 2 screws off, which is just a couple of 3/8, and then we'll move on to the hood there. So here's this red hood from a Wizard. And I was like, oh, you can paint the hood or whatever. But the hood, and this one's generally in good shape. Of course, it's got some residue with duct tape on the hood. Is what it is. We can clean that off if we want to. But to get them off, it's not really that difficult. This one's actually intact, which is rare. 6 screws, 1/4 inch, 3 on this side, same 3 on that side. We're going to snap off this zip tie holding the headlight. Wiring onto this hood, we'll snap this headlight back in as well. Can I do it with one hand? Yes, okay. There. And so that should essentially allow us, get you on the tripod, to take off the nose cone here. Probably won't have any need for this other hood. A lot of times the hoods are fine, it's the nose cones that break. Let's see if we can slide this thing off here. Oh, just broke a tab. side was kind of a little bit broken, but I think we'll be okay. This is the common failure point on all of them, honestly, but this one's in good enough shape to be able to transfer over. So we get this hood out of the way. All of these break. It's just not, it's a matter of when. Or it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so I'm going to get these screws off and we'll put it onto this hood and I'll show you the end result. Pretty easy, just slides in, slides out. Just watch some little tabs as you take it off. Alright guys, I got all that transferred over. I'll see what I can do about this duct tape residue and stuff. But this is, nose cone is on, the hood is working properly. This is not the most perfect nose cone, but it satisfies what we need to. I am going to switch out the lights because that is the wrong hookups for the lights right there. So I'll get that taken care of. I still got the old nose cone. Just about threw it away. Tomorrow's trash day. And got that going on. Seat, front end, leaves us with the deck. Well, we got safety switches too. We fixed those. At least we're going to test them out tomorrow. I was told this was a, quote, cutting beast. Yeah. Those are some of the worst blades I have ever seen. Have no fear, I got a couple new ones. We're going to scrape under the deck, turn it back over, do the whole shebang with the wire brush and greasing up the, or lubing up the blade engage mechanism, so that, and the wire wheel to get them grooves out of it. And this thing will be ready to put back on. We'll get everything back on tonight and probably call it for the night. And so yeah, let me scrape out some stuff, pop some new blades on here. We'll turn the deck back over. So we got the blades on. I forgot to give you a peek, but there it is. There's all the junk that was underneath the deck. We'll get all that cleaned up here in just a minute. There's the blades. It will be a cutting beast now because it's got good blades on it. We're going to go ahead and take the deck belt off. Just got to get it out from around the guides and stuff here. Out from around there. Super easy deck belt routing here. Get it out from the blade brakes as well. And let's see if I can just do that for a second. You can do this without taking this cover off too, if you're delicate. Or if you can get it around that blade brake. There we go. Lift that up. Come on now. Just gotta get it above that nut there for the, there we go. Get it out from around that guy, and you can see, y'all saw it earlier, this thing's starting to miss chunks and stuff out of it, so not doing very good. In order to get this off, we need a 9/16. Might need a deep well. No, we got it. Okay. There we go. You just hold the bottom of this because it's like a square nut or a locking bolt, if you want to call it that. And you can take off all this good stuff. This really ain't too bad. A lot of times I see them really rusted. But what I do is just take this mechanism off, just like so. This washer goes on the bottom as well. I will take a wire brush and brush all of this, and then you might see, yeah, right here, especially on the inside, you see that groove that's worn on the inside of that? I'll grind that out. I'll grind this out right here, and then wire brush all this, lube it all up, put it all back together. I do need to add a spring to the front of this deck, the return spring, and this thing should work like it's supposed to after I put the new deck belt and stuff on. And then we'll basically be ready to put this thing back together, give it an oil change, a wash, and be done with it. This is going to be a pretty quick turnaround, guys. I'm excited. All right, guys, we're going to put it back together here. Pretty easy, actually. So it's going to go dishwasher, blade mechanism for the tensioner, and then we'll get these lifted out of the way. Followed by that washer, and then the bolts. I WD-40'd it as well, just to give it a little bit more of a, and wire brushed everything just to smooth out the surface and all that on this thing. So we're gonna get this, feed that up through there. We're going to put this tensioner pulley back, which actually pushes all the way over and butts up against this arm, so you know exactly where it's supposed to go. And then we're going to put our 9/16 back on. Ooh. Just hold it from the bottom as you do this. I think that's the way. See how much easier that thing's working now? Much easier. Checking all the clearances of everything. Adding this tensioner spring from right here to right there. And what that does, you see that? That's what you want to see. You want to be able to pull this back and then let go of it and see it come back just like that. All right, so now we're at the point. I know I need to clean this. I need to clean the mower and everything off. That's going to come in a minute. We're going to put this deck back on, put all the brackets and stuff back on, and we'll get it all aligned tomorrow once I get all the tires and stuff pumped up and all that stuff. But I'm going to throw the deck back under it, clean up for the night. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Alright y'all, it's almost dark outside. Got it running after I cleaned it. Put a deck belt on it. Runs really good. I wonder if the headlights work. Hey, the headlights even work. How about that? That's fantastic. Adjusted the brakes a little bit. Just had to go on the back side and use a 1/2 inch wrench. I'll show you that she cuts, level the deck too on each side. She's ready to roll. Let me get it down in the light. I just wanted to show you all this before we did it. Get down in the light, we'll wrap this video up. Well guys, as I was pulling it in the garage, the drag link ended up popping off of it right there. So I'm going to get a new drag link and put it on there, and we will be ready to rock and roll here in just a second. Alright guys, so that is it for this one. I replaced that drag link. The old one had issues with where I guess the front end was worn, and it was just broke, or wore that hole out right there where the tab for the steering was. And so put a new one on there, just a couple of bolts, take the old one off,
put a new one on there. We're really good to go now. So kind of kicking myself because I think I had another good one on a mower that had a bad front end that I just scrapped a couple weeks ago. It's the way that it is. It's only like a $25 part if I didn't have it, but I did because of the stuff I have in the backyard. Nonetheless, this thing's ready to rock and roll. We put a deck belt on it, blades, front end, drag link, swapped out the seat, put a nose cone on it. A bunch of parts swapping, easy stuff. Basically took a couple afternoons out here to do it. On and off doing other repairs and moving things around. So all in all, I probably got like 3 hours in it or so. I got it for $100. I'll sell it probably for anywhere between $400 and $450. So, you know, good little side money on this. It'll sell in the spring. I don't think I'm even going to worry about listing it this fall. Runs great though. Y'all heard it. Runs great, cuts great, drives fine. These Craftsmans are tried and true. As long as their decks are not rotted out, they usually will run forever. So, and y'all know that by now. Y'all see me work on Craftsman MTD. Y'all know that these old Craftsman LT series are so much better than what you can get nowadays. But thank y'all again for watching. If you have any questions about this video, feel free to reach out to me, Ellis at ellismowers.com or at ellismowers09 on Instagram and Facebook. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm pretty happy with this purchase. I have another $100 purchase on the trailer that hopefully y'all will be seeing in a future video. We'll see how it falls in line. It's a garden tractor Craftsman with a hydro. So I'm excited for that one. But thank y'all again for the support. And I'll catch y'all on the next video. See you then.